Scorpio, before you go any further, allow your breath to settle, because the message you are about to receive is not casual guidance, not a soft prediction, not a vague spiritual hint floating through the air. It is the kind of energetic transmission the universe only releases when something on your astrological horizon has shifted so dramatically that your path, your focus, your emotional structure, and even your sense of identity are about to be confronted and reshaped by forces far larger than your personal will. This is not the kind of energy that brushes past you gently. This is the kind that presses its palm against the center of your chest, demanding attention, demanding awareness, demanding readiness. And because you are a Scorpio, a sign built from depth, from intuition, from psychic instinct, from emotional truth buried beneath layers of silence, you can feel the tremor long before the story unfolds in the physical world. Right now, Mars, your ancient ruler, is sliding into an astrological position that activates what astrologers call the axis of confrontation and judgment, a region of your chart that deals with unfinished business, emotional pressure, unresolved conflicts, injustices you have carried in silence, and moments when life forces you to reclaim your power after it has been diminished or ignored. At the same time, Pluto, your modern ruler and the planet that governs everything, hidden secrets, buried memories, emotional wounds, generational patterns, and karmic chains, is stirring the very foundation of your inner world, shaking loose the things you pushed aside because they were too heavy to hold and too complicated to untangle. When Mars and Pluto move in synchronization, the universe does not simply send you a signal. It sends you a summons. This summons feels like an emotional vibration under the surface of your daily life. Something you cannot fully explain. Something that shows up in your heartbeat, in the heaviness behind your eyes, in the sudden waves of intuition that appear at moments that seem random to everyone else but strike you with precision. It is the sense that something is coming. Something you cannot name. Something you cannot escape. Something you have sensed in your dreams, in your instincts, in the strange tightness in your chest that appears in moments of silence. Other signs would dismiss this as anxiety, coincidence, or imagination. But Scorpio, you know better, because your intuition is not an accessory. It is your primary language, your first alert system, the thing that has protected you your entire life. The reason this energy is moving toward you now is because you have been carrying a weight, emotional, psychological, karmic, that has reached its limit. The charts suggest that you have lived through a period marked by silence, suppression, or imbalance. A period in which you endured something that deeply affected your psyche, but went unresolved either because you were too young to understand it or because you were forced into emotional survival mode before you had time to process what actually happened. The universe is not punishing you by bringing this energy back. It is freeing you. But before freedom comes truth. And before truth comes revelation. And before revelation comes the cosmic pressure that forces you to acknowledge that something in your life has been out of alignment far longer than you allowed yourself to admit. There is a strong astrological signature pointing toward a specific person tied to this unfolding event, someone whose name or energy is aligned with the letter J. Astrology does not include letters the way tarot or numerology sometimes does, but it does identify energetic imprints connected to individuals who played a significant role in your emotional past. Individuals who shaped your worldview, your fears, your instincts, or your defensive patterns. And the imprint connected to this J person is unmistakably active in your chart. They are not being pulled toward you by desire or nostalgia. They are being pulled by cosmic obligation, because some part of the story involving them is incomplete, unfinished, unresolved, or emotionally warped by silence. In the original timeline of your life, this person marked a turning point, perhaps through absence, conflict, secrecy, or a moment where they acted in a way that forced you into emotional independence too early. Their return, whether literal or symbolic, is not random. It is triggered by Mars activating your sector of truth and Pluto shaking the roots of your past. When these planets awaken, anything hidden becomes visible. Anything denied becomes undeniable. Anything buried rises to the surface, whether you are ready or not. Scorpio. The universe is preparing to confront you with something you have carried in your emotional body for a long time. You may not know the details yet, but your instincts have already felt the tremor. You may have noticed your sleep shifting, your mood intensifying, your memories resurfacing, or your reactions becoming sharper, deeper, more visceral. This is not instability. This is alignment. This is your inner world bracing for the moment when truth and destiny collide. You have stayed silent long enough. You have carried confusion long enough. You have endured imbalance long enough. And the universe, through the alignment of your rulers, is saying one thing very clearly. Scorpio, the time of revelation has begun. Scorpio. Once the cosmic pressure around you begins to rise, the universe shifts into a sequence of timed energetic activations, and these activations do not unfold randomly. They move with intention, precision, and a rhythm that matches your emotional depth. In the original message, these shifts were expressed through 7 cards, but in astrology, they appear even more clearly a 7-day climb in frequency, where each day opens a new layer of awareness and pushes you closer to the truth that Pluto and Mars are forcing you to confront. This is not a countdown to chaos, but a countdown to liberation, because the universe only uses 7-day sequences when a karmic cycle is ending and a soul contract is dissolving. For Scorpio, whose entire existence revolves around death and rebirth, these 7 days mark the beginning of a transformation. You cannot slow down, cannot negotiate, and cannot step around. You can only move through it. Day 1 arrives with a surge of intuition so sharp it feels physical, as if your nervous system has been plugged directly into the cosmic grid. Scorpio intuition is already powerful, but on this day it elevates into something far beyond instinct. You may feel a vibration under your skin, a heaviness in your chest, or a pressure behind your eyes. Not because something is wrong, but because something is approaching. The universe turns up the volume on your psychic receptors, and you suddenly become aware of a presence, an event, a shift, a conversation, or a truth moving toward you. You cannot name it yet, but you can feel it in your bones. This day is the awakening. Day 2 pulls something from deep within your emotional archives, a memory, a fear, a moment from childhood, or a family event you never fully processed resurfaces without warning. It rises not as a thought, but as a feeling, an ache, a discomfort, a sudden wave of sadness, or a sharp flash of recognition. This is your subconscious opening. Pluto is stirring the bottom of your emotional ocean, and what floats upward is not meant to hurt you, but to remind you of what shaped you. Something from your past demands attention because it holds a piece of the truth you are about to receive. This day is the excavation. Day 3 brings external confirmation. You receive news, a message, a conversation, or a sudden shift connected to something that once felt unfair, unbalanced, or painful. This may involve family, finances, justice, inheritance, or a situation where you were wronged and forced to stay silent. Mars activates the sector of conflict and fairness, and the universe pushes someone or something to reveal movement. It may be small, a comment, a document, a rumor, a reminder, but it triggers something larger in the energetic field. This day is the first crack in the wall. Day 4 is when clarity begins to assemble itself. The floating pieces of your emotional and mental landscape suddenly start interlocking, like a puzzle snapping into place. Something that never made sense begins to take form. You see patterns, you see connections, you see contradictions. You see the parts of the story that were hidden from you. Scorpio, you have always known how to detect lies. But now you start seeing the truth behind the silence itself. You are not imagining anything. You are recognizing what was always there. This day is the illumination. Day 5 brings an emotional surge that feels overwhelming but is actually purification. This is when your body releases the pressure it has been holding for years. You may cry, feel angry, feel exhausted, or feel strangely peaceful. Whatever rises is the emotional poison leaving your system. Pluto governs endings, and this is the point where your soul begins to detach from the old narrative. You are not breaking down. You are breaking free. This day is the purge. Day 6 delivers the breakthrough. After days of emotional unraveling and intuitive activation, the universe sends something undeniably positive, a piece of good news. An opportunity, a confirmation, a green light, a reward, or a shift that instantly changes your trajectory. It may come through a person, a system, a message, or a sudden opening in your path. This is the universe balancing the scales. What was taken returns. What was denied is offered. What was delayed arrives. This day is the blessing. Day 7 is the rebirth. Not the symbolic kind, not the poetic kind, but the kind you feel in the deepest chambers of your spirit. You wake up different. The world looks different. Your emotional frequency feels different. You realize a chapter of suffering has quietly sealed itself behind you. You feel taller inside, stronger inside, clearer inside. This is the moment your soul shifts timelines. A version of you dies, and a new one rises not with flames and drama, but with stillness, certainty, and absolute inner authority. This day is the ascension. Scorpio. These 7 days are not a prediction. They are a cosmic schedule. And once the universe begins the countdown, the transformation cannot be stopped. Scorpio. When astrologers speak about justice, they do not talk about courtrooms, judges, or rulings made on paper. They talk about the moment the 8th house awakens, the moment Pluto rises in its rawest form, the moment the universe decides that silence has lasted long enough and imbalance has stretched too far. And right now, in your natal chart, the axis connected to restoration, karmic return, energetic accountability, and spiritual compensation is burning with activity so intense that it feels almost like a cosmic siren calling unfinished business out of the shadows. This is not metaphorical movement. This is literal astrological pressure. And it is moving through the part of your chart that governs endings, revelations, reversals, inheritances, secrets coming to light, and power shifting back to its rightful owner. The 8th house is not gentle. It is not soft. It is not diplomatic. It is the house ruled by Pluto. The house that handles everything life tries to hide under the carpet: betrayal, manipulation, injustice, exploitation, emotional wounds inflicted quietly, situations where you carried pain alone because speaking up would have created conflict or exposed truth that others were not ready to face. This house stores every moment you were wronged, overlooked, underestimated, dismissed, misled, or used. And once activated, it does not simply release the memory, it releases the consequences. And Scorpio, your 8th house is fully awake. This awakening means something very specific. Anyone who hurt you in silence, anyone who lied to you with confidence, anyone who drained your emotional energy without remorse, anyone who manipulated your loyalty, anyone who benefited from your suffering, or anyone who walked away from responsibility believing they would never face consequences, is now standing at the edge of a karmic mirror they cannot avoid. The universe is not seeking your permission to initiate this process. It has already begun. Mars triggers the exposure. Pluto triggers the correction. And your 8th house becomes the chamber where everything hidden is forced into daylight. But here is the part most people overlook. The 8th house does not only deliver consequences to others, it restores balance to you. It returns strength you lost, clarity you were denied, resources you were owed, and power that was taken. You are entering a phase where cosmic justice will not come loudly, but will come with absolute precision. You may witness someone apologizing not because they feel brave, but because guilt has become unbearable. You may see someone exposed, not through revenge, but through contradictions they can no longer keep straight. You may watch someone lose something they once stole from your life, your peace, or your dignity. Or you may receive something, an opportunity, a truth, a chance, a gift, a financial shift that has been delayed for far too long but was always meant for you. These events are not random blessings or punishments. They are Pluto restoring order in the only language Pluto speaks, transformation through truth. Pluto separates what is real from what is false, what is yours from what never belonged to you, what must be released from what must return. When Pluto works, it strips away illusions and leaves only the core essence behind. It tears down what was built on manipulation and strengthens what was built on integrity. And Scorpio, because you have lived through cycles of loss, cycles of silence, cycles where you gave more than you received, you are now entering the phase where the universe begins to reverse the direction of movement. Everything that drained you begins to shrink, and everything that belongs to you begins to grow. There is a profound irony in this process. You are not required to act. You are not required to seek revenge. You are not required to expose anyone. You are not required to fight. The 8th house does not need your participation. It only needs your readiness. Cosmic justice does not ask you to lift a finger because it recognizes that you have already paid in emotional currency, in sleepless nights, in unanswered questions, in wounds carried quietly, in trust that cracked but did not break your spirit. What you are experiencing, or will soon experience, is the universe recalibrating the scales. This recalibration may show up in subtle ways at first, like someone avoiding you because they fear their truth will slip, or someone acting strangely because the pressure of their own actions is finally catching up to them. But eventually, the shift becomes undeniable. A truth surfaces, a dynamic collapses, a curtain falls, or a turning point appears. And suddenly you see with absolute clarity that balance has been restored. Scorpio, cosmic justice is not a myth. It is Pluto's most essential function. And right now, Pluto is working on your behalf not because you demanded it, but because you endured enough. The universe has watched you survive storms you never created. And now the universe is returning what is yours. This is not magic. This is not coincidence. This is not luck. This is Pluto doing what Pluto does, bringing everything back to its rightful place. Scorpio. Once Pluto activates the 8th house and justice begins moving through the corridors of your past, the universe does something even more profound. It removes the veils that protected the lies, the illusions, the half-truths, and the manipulations that once shaped your emotional reality. Exposure does not come all at once. It arrives like a slow, deliberate unraveling, where every thread pulled reveals another layer of truth until suddenly the entire structure collapses and you are left staring at the core you were never allowed to see. And because you are a Scorpio, a sign that is wired to sense what others suppress, this phase does not frighten you. It awakens you. You do not fear truth. You fear the years you lost living without it. The universe begins exposing things through the movement of Mercury, Mars, and Pluto across the most psychologically sensitive houses in your chart, creating an energetic combination that forces what was once whispered behind your back into the open. Mercury triggers slips of the tongue, unexpected messages, overheard conversations, or accidental reveals. Mars triggers confrontation, emotional reactions, impulsive behaviors, and cracks in the masks that others wear. Pluto triggers structural collapse of lies, emotional collapse of guilt, energetic collapse of illusions built to keep you in the dark. When these planets work together, truth does not arrive gently. It erupts. During this phase, you may notice that certain people around you begin behaving strangely, not because they have changed overnight, but because the alignment of the planets has made it impossible for them to keep pretending. Someone who once felt comfortable hiding information may suddenly avoid eye contact when speaking to you. Someone who used to speak confidently may begin hesitating, stuttering, correcting themselves. or contradicting their own story. Someone who always maintained control may start acting nervous, defensive, or reactive in ways that reveal more than they intend. These shifts are not coincidences. They are cosmic pressure leaking through human behavior. You will also sense emotional patterns shifting around you. A family member may grow quiet when a certain topic comes up. A friend may suddenly distance themselves as if afraid of being implicated in a truth you haven't fully discovered yet. Someone from your past may reappear, not to reconnect, but because their involvement in an old wound is being pulled into the foreground by karmic timing. Pluto does not just expose lies, it drags out everyone connected to them, and internally, you will begin to experience a profound sharpening of intuition that borders on clairvoyance. Scorpio intuition is always strong, but under these planetary conditions, it becomes piercing, almost surgical. You may find yourself suddenly understanding things you never consciously learned, connecting memories that were previously fragmented, or recalling details you didn't realize your subconscious recorded. You may wake up with the answer to a question you didn't know you were asking. You may feel a strong physical reaction in the presence of someone whose energy hides truth. This is your emotional intelligence aligning with cosmic intelligence. One of the most striking elements of this period is how the universe orchestrates moments of absolute clarity through circumstances that appear mundane. A passing comment overheard at the right moment, a document found by accident, a confession someone didn't plan to make, a message sent to you mistakenly, or even a sudden change in the behavior of someone who once carried authority over your life. All these tiny pieces begin forming a narrative you didn't have access to before. The truth does not descend dramatically. It emerges through a series of small openings that eventually widen into a doorway you cannot avoid walking through. And when the doorway opens fully, the universe reveals something Scorpio has always suspected. Deep down, you are not wrong. Your instincts were not exaggerated. Your sensitivity was not overreaction. Your intuition was not paranoia. What you felt was real. What you sensed was accurate. What you questioned deserved answers that were withheld from you. And now, those answers are stepping out of the shadows. The emotional impact of this revelation is intense. Not because the truth harms you, but because it frees you from years of doubt. All the nights you wondered whether you misunderstood someone's behavior. All the moments you felt something was off but had no proof. All the times you silenced yourself to avoid conflict, all of that dissolves in an instant of cosmic confirmation. And in that moment, your spirit lifts, your chest loosens, your breath deepens, and you feel a surge of power returning to you. Exposure is not about revenge. It is about release. When truth rises, it dissolves the illusions that kept you small, distracted, or emotionally entangled. It restores your strength. It clears your mind. It unburdens your heart. And for a Scorpio, there is no greater liberation than seeing the truth with your own eyes and realizing that your soul, all along, was guiding you correctly. This phase is not the end, it is the pivot. Once the truth emerges, the next stage begins the reconstruction of your life from a place of clarity, strength, and sovereignty. Scorpio. Once the truth has surfaced and the illusions surrounding your past have collapsed, the universe moves you toward the final and most powerful phase of this transformation, the elevation of your soul's frequency. This phase is not emotional recovery, not temporary clarity, not a momentary breakthrough. It is a permanent shift in who you are, how you perceive the world, how your energy interacts with others, and how your destiny unfolds from this point forward. Astrology calls this a frequency transition, a moment when your inner world rises to a higher vibration and forces your outer world to follow. It is the metaphysical equivalent of molting as a creature that no longer fits inside its old skin. This is where Scorpio becomes what Scorpio was meant to be. Once Pluto finishes exposing the truth and returning what was stolen from your spirit, Mars steps in to ignite movement, confidence, and forward momentum. You begin making decisions not from fear, not from survival, not from attachment, but from a place of inner certainty that is so solid it feels almost ancient, as if you are tapping into a version of yourself who has lived many lifetimes and learned all the lessons you needed to learn. You stop second-guessing yourself. You stop questioning your intuition. You stop shrinking to make others comfortable. You stop explaining your pain to people who have no intention of understanding it. Your energy becomes sharp, clear, and sovereign. This shift begins subtly at first. You wake up one morning and your mind feels different, not heavy, not clouded, not entangled, but clean. You notice your thoughts forming with precision. You feel your emotions sitting more calmly inside your chest. You sense a stability in your spirit that you once believed other people had the power to remove from you. Then, slowly, your body begins to respond. Your breathing deepens. Your shoulders relax. Your heartbeat steadies. It is as though your entire nervous system has been rewired after years of bracing for impact. Then, the outer changes begin. People who once held power over your emotions suddenly feel small in your presence. Situations that once triggered you now appear insignificant. Conflicts that once drained you no longer affect you because you have moved beyond them energetically. You realize with absolute clarity that you do not need to win battles that do not belong to you. You do not need to carry burdens that were handed to you by others. You do not need to prove your worth to anyone. The frequency rising inside you pushes all lower vibrations out of your life effortlessly. Astrologically, this shift aligns with a new cycle forming between your Sun, Mars, and Pluto. Your solar identity strengthens, your drive intensifies, and your power stabilizes. This is the moment when Scorpio stops living in reaction to the past and begins living in creation of the future. You become magnetic in a way that others can feel even before they understand it. Opportunities begin appearing as if drawn to you. Conversations flow in your favor. Doors that once felt sealed shut suddenly open for you without resistance. Pluto does not only destroy, it rebuilds. And now the rebuilding begins. During this phase, you may notice an increase in synchronicities, repeating numbers, vivid dreams, intuitive flashes, moments of déjà vu. These are not coincidences, they are confirmations. The universe is showing you that you are aligned, that you are supported, that you are stepping onto a timeline where struggle is no longer your teacher and clarity is no longer your enemy. You are moving into a phase of life where your emotional depth becomes your strength rather than your burden. And then something even more profound occurs. Your boundaries transform. Not the external boundaries you speak aloud, but the internal boundaries that define what you allow into your spirit. You stop absorbing other people's pain. You stop internalizing their projections. You stop being the emotional container for people who refuse to face themselves. You love differently. You trust differently. You choose differently. You move with discernment, not fear. You demand reciprocity without apology. You honor your intuition without doubt. You protect your energy without guilt. This is the true Scorpio rebirth, not the dramatic collapse most people associate with transformation, but the quiet rising of a soul that has learned enough, survived enough, and endured enough to finally claim the life that was always meant for it. You are no longer shaped by what hurt you. You are shaped by what you learned from surviving it. Pluto has burned away the version of you that was built from pain, and in its place stands a version of you built from truth. And the most important truth is this: you are no longer who you were before these 7 days. Your frequency is different. Your path is different. Your power is different. You step forward now not as someone recovering from the past, but as someone ready for the future. The universe has prepared it. Pluto has cleared it. Mars will guide you through it. Scorpio, your rebirth is complete. You are rising and nothing in the world can pull you back down again.